Now let's go ahead and delve into the worst of the worst shows of 2024. So there are not really a whole lot of honorable mentions here, just shows that I thought were very disappointing and just really stupid and didn't really live up to the hype. Case in point, the first show, Deal or No Deal Island. Hey, let's combine Deal or No Deal with Survivor. That'll work. Says no one ever. And look, I love Joe Manganiello. I think he's a very fun actor to watch whenever he's in anything. But man, this was just such a bad idea to combine Deal or No Deal and Survivor into one. It just takes a lot of the fun of Deal or No Deal out of the picture altogether. It's just a bad idea overall. The Veil, which is a rare misfire for FX in 2024, where you have Elizabeth Moss starring in a thriller series about a potential deadly game of truth and lies as two women travel from Istanbul to Paris and London, with one of them possessing a secret that the others need to expose. That just makes you realize maybe Stephen Knight isn't as good as I thought he was, because I've seen way too many of his works recently where I've been very disappointed by the end result, like the Christmas Carol he did for FX not too long ago. And God bless Elizabeth Moss. She's doing everything in her power to hold the show together, but she can only do so much, and it just isn't enjoyable at all. It's such a boring and uninspired show. It doesn't leave the viewer wanting more. It just makes you want to switch off the show entirely. So yeah, The Veil, a real misfire in general. And last but not least, we have Knuckles, which, I'll say this. At times, it's fun for the wrong reasons. Like, it's a show that I think should have been so much more than it actually is. You got Idris Elba back as Knuckles again, and this time it's Adam Paley's character from the Sonic the Hedgehog movies as the focus of the show. And it does start off really slow. The first couple of episodes are not that strong, but as the show goes on, it does get a little bit better here and there. And it has a really fun, over-the-top episode directed by Jorma Taccone with the Flames of Disaster. I'm pretty sure you have seen the Adam Paley memes where he's just like, the Flames of Disaster! Like, it's stupid, but it's a fun kind of stupid, and just a fun. It's one of the more enjoyable aspects of the entire show. Plus, you got Christopher Lloyd involved in that one, so you can't go wrong with that. In particular, not a bad show in particular, and really, I thought about taking it off the worst of the year list as I was putting this together, but I'll put it on there just because I was mostly let down by the first couple of episodes, but it slowly but surely did get better, but not enough for me to completely take this off the list for now. But what about the shows that did make the worst of the year list? The worst TV shows / events, if you will, because there's some events on here that I'll throw in on here as well, of 2024. We might as well just call the first four here, the Ryan Murphy quartet, because yeah, Ryan Murphy is involved in 4 of the bottom 10 shows on this list. Dr. Odyssey starts it off at number 10. The least bad of the shows, where you have Joshua Jackson starring as a new doctor on board of a luxury cruise ship, and a small but capable team handle unique medical cases far away from the nearest shore. And yeah, this is more on the lines of something like 911, except let's put 911 on a cruise ship. Let's make it like the Love Boat. And yeah, it just doesn't work. I mean, it's not the worst thing ever, but you could definitely tell it's a show that really has no intentions on doing anything that engaging or entertaining whatsoever, and just wants to go for the memes like 911 does, because 911 has a lot of stuff there that's not really quality entertainment. It's just more meme stuff than actually. You know, there's a reason why Brad Jones does the bit where every week where he's just like, here's the 911 clip of the week, and like, there's a reason why he does that, because nobody's taking 911 that seriously, and no one takes Dr. Odyssey that seriously. But like I said, it's the least bad of the new shows that Ryan Murphy put together in 2024. Case in point with number 9. Yet another diet American horror story, Grotesquerie, where you have Niecy Nash playing Detective Lois Tryon, who must work with Sister Megan, played by Michaela Diamond, a local nun trying to figure out a series of heinous crimes that is affecting both the community and their personal lives. And this show could have had the potential to be really good, but it gets really corny and lazy when it has to. Like, you got the nun dancing around while she's possessed, and it's not scary, it's stupid. And a lot of the stuff in here is not that entertaining whatsoever. They waste a lot of really good talent out here. Niecy Nash, Courtney B. Vance, like Travis Kelce has a role in the show, because why not? He's not catching any footballs, and yet people still love him regardless, because he's banging Taylor Swift. So let's put him in here. Why not? And there's a reason why not, because he's not really doing a whole lot on here that's really that interesting or that engaging in particular. It's a really it's a really lackluster show in general. A show that just really, it just really is trying way too hard to be the next something that's not American Horror Story, but it's just basically American Horror Story in a long form show. And it'd be fine if the show was actually good, but it's not. It just feels like they're just wasting your time with something that they think is more important than it actually is, and they're not really telling you anything about it. Like, what is Grotesquerie about? When you find out what it is at the end, it's just like, are you fucking serious? You just made me spend 10 episodes of this on this garbage right here. I was so let down by this show. Such a disappointment. Just a waste of talent across the board. And yeah, another loser for Ryan Murphy. Coming in at number 8, we have American Sports Story, Aaron Hernandez. A show that could be very interesting. It could be something very, very intriguing, but nope. Not when we have Ryan Murphy on board, who cares more, who just put his name on it, just put his name on the show, and instantly, it's going to be instant success. And yeah, it's really not that good. It's a show that has a lot of problems with the number 6 show on the list, where it's trying to humanize a clear monster and just tries to throw in these weird, bizarre, situations here. Like, let's focus on his supposed gay affair that he had with somebody. Let's have all these people that are supposed to be these notable figures in life, and just be like, yeah, this is supposed to be Bill Belichick. This is supposed to be Rob Gronkowski. This is supposed to be Robert Kraft. Like, the way that they put all these people in here, and just the actors that they have playing them, they're just so badly put together on this show. Not to mention it's also produced by the Boston Globe, and heaven forbid if the Boston Globe is actually going to go ahead and dig up some dirt on Aaron Hernandez, even though they've been known for breaking big stories. Of course, everyone remembers Spotlight and all that, but one of the writers on the show is Dominique Foxworth, for God's sakes. Dominique Foxworth wrote a script for this show. Just such a mess of a show. But none bigger than the biggest mess to come out of Ryan Murphy in 2024. That's number 6. And that is Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story. Netflix, of course, this is a Netflix show, which centers on the 1989 murders of Jose and Kitty Menendez, who were killed by their sons Lyle and Eric, and it incorporates the Rashomon effect by presenting the story from multiple perspectives, with the brothers' viewpoint serving as the central narrative. And yeah, this is a show that just... it's awe-inspiring how low this show goes. From the same people that made the show that made Jeffrey Dahmer, one of the most notorious killers of all time, into a sex symbol, because everyone wanted to bang the guy who played Jeffrey Dahmer. They tried to do the same thing here with the Menendez brothers, focusing a lot on the incestuous tones of their relationship, and it's just like, what are you doing? Like, who finds this entertaining? And, this is just... it's just so ridiculous. It's so stupid. Like, with the Jeffrey Dahmer show, you can make the argument that, okay, there's a purpose. They're at least trying to do something here. There's at least a purpose for this being like this. There's just no excuse for it. This is just Ryan Murphy literally giving everybody the middle finger and saying, you're going to watch it anyway because my name's attached to it. And sure enough, idiots bought into it. And unfortunately, the show became a success, and the show is going to lead into another series with, this time, Ed Gein being the focus of it, with Charlie Hunnam starring in him. So great. Now we're going to turn him into a sex symbol. And the worst thing that the show did is that it's making people want to go and reopen the case and have these two guys back out on the streets again. Like, they're in prison for a reason. I mean, come on. Behold, the quartet of everything bad that came from Ryan Murphy in 2024. The absolute worst of the worst. Just such a mess. Just such a mess of a show. In fact, let's stick with Netflix for number 6 on this list, because not only did they give us a really terrible show from Ryan Murphy, they also gave us one of the most overhyped, overrated things I have ever seen in my life. Number 6 on the list, the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight. This was one of the most overhyped, overrated things I have ever seen in my entire life. And I wasn't even going to watch it. In fact, I didn't even watch it. My dad wanted to watch it. So he had to get my Netflix account. I had to give it to him to watch it. And, yeah. one of the biggest problems right from the get-go is that apparently Netflix, which has been around now, producing live scripted stuff now for 13 years, more than, it's actually 11 years. When was House of Cards? House of Cards, I think, was 2012, 2013. No, it would have been 13 years, but Netflix, who has produced all the scripted stuff, apparently has no idea of how to fix technical issues on their front, because man, that shit was so frustrating to look at. I saw the clips on social media, and I just couldn't believe how bad those were. But besides that, the whole thing just felt really, really stupid, and everyone was building this up as like this great fight that everyone's going to be talking about for years to come. We're going to talk about it for not the reason you think. Anybody that thought that a fight between a 27-year-old Gen Z YouTuber and a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, the former undisputed heavyweight champ of the world, was going to lead to anything entertaining whatsoever, you're out your goddamn mind. I mean, this was one of the most... this whole thing was one of the most obnoxious, most pointless things ever, and it was pretty... And let's be honest, it was fixed from the get-go. Jake Paul was making a ton of money off of this, so was Mike Tyson. I mean, they literally admitted that they were getting paid millions of dollars, and they wasted everybody's time on this. This was complete 100% garbage. Garbage that just does not make anybody look any better. It doesn't make Jake Paul look better. It doesn't make Mike Tyson look better. What this was an example of how people can be so stupid to watch this. Because 65 million people watched this event. 65 million people tuned into this thinking that they were going to get something. They were going to get something entertaining out of it. There was no entertaining factor in this. The fights they had before this were much more entertaining. The lightweight battle between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano was much better than anything that came from the main fight itself. This is, at least with the WWE and AEW All Elite Wrestling, there was at least something. It's scripted, yes, but it's fun scripted. I can get a lot of entertainment value watching that. There's no fun watching this, and this is the type of thing that destroys whatever boxing had left to it. Like, boxing is not the same thing it was 20 years ago, and sadly, because we overhype events like this is the reason why boxing will never be what it used to be, because we overhyped this garbage, and we made it one of the biggest events on television in 2024, and it's just like, it's just so despicable. It's just so despicable how bad this whole thing was, right from the get-go, and it was just a bad idea, and yet people were stupid enough to buy into it, and lo and behold, the end result was this. So yeah, the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight definitely deserves a spot at number 6 on my list of the worst things to come out of 2024 in terms of television. As we move into the top 5, we get to some real garbage at number 5 with Universal Basic Guys, the latest Fox animated comedy series. And boy, just when you thought Crapopolis wasn't bad enough, here you have a show centering around a group of South Jersey factory workers who are enrolled in a Universal Basic Income pilot program where their jobs are taken over by AI-powered robots and left with a monthly income and a lot of free time to get into trouble. Bless the Hearts, Duncanville, Housebroken, all had to die because we had to get this show on the air. Why? I have no idea. And this is the reason why Fox is struggling with its animated shows and is trying so hard to keep The Simpsons, Family Guy, and Bob's Burgers from leaving, because, man, the stuff that they have tried to put on since those shows have come on, since those shows The Simpsons, Family Guy, and Bob's Burgers have come on, have been more missed than hit. You get a hit every once in a while, like The Great North or even Grimsburg, but, man, everything else has just been pure garbage. Crapopolis is still terrible, and this might be even worse. At least Crapopolis has more of a look to it that's appealing than this garbage. Like, it doesn't help that the jokes are just not funny. Like, it's just so lazy. The writing is terrible. The animation is really bad. It's amazing how a show like this gets on the air and it's supposed to be the next big hit, animated hit for Fox, and it's just like, it's garbage. It's pure garbage, and I think it actually did get another season, which, again, they renewed the show before the show even premiered, so it's clear that Fox doesn't care if the show's a success or not. If we can, excuse me, But if we know that we can make money off of it because it's our show and it's nobody else's, we're going to make another season off of it because it's going to do killer business on Hulu, which, yeah, this thing should have stayed on Hulu and not be forced to take up a spot that could have easily been used for a much better Fox animated show, instead of having to do this thing where it's just like, no, we're going to swap out all the shows now. Like the days of when The Simpsons, we used to be on Sunday nights at 8, and Bob's Burgers used to be on Sunday nights at 9, as Family Guy at 9:30. Those days are gone now because we need to put Family Guy at 8 o'clock. And then here's all these other shows, The Great North and Grimsburg and what's Crapopolis. That's what they're doing now with it, starting in February. Like The Simpsons and Family Guy and Simpsons and Bob's Burgers are on hiatus now, and I heard somewhere they're going to move to Wednesday nights now, which I don't think they should do, but I'm hoping that's not the case that happens, because it just feels like they're pushing these shows out for garbage like this. Universal Basic, guys, is such a terribly put together show. It's not funny, it's not well animated, it just sucks. It really, really does suck. Back to some more specials that failed to do anything that special. Number 4, The Real Full Monty. Remember this? Remember this pointless special that came out earlier in the year? This is based off, of course, of the Full Monty from the 1997 movie of the same name. But this is actually based off of the British TV specials of the same name, where you have 6 male celebrities stripping to raise money for cancer charities, and you've got Mandy Moore appearing to be the coach of the celebrities and the choreographer. They had Anthony Anderson, Taye Diggs, Bruno Tonloli, James Vanderbeek, Tyler Posey, and Chris Jones doing this. And I don't get why they had to waste 2 hours of this. Like, I get you're doing this for charity and all that, but they spent 2 hours preparing for this, and just like the movie The Full Monty at least has a reason to go that long, because it's a movie. But this, they built this up for 2 hours, and when they actually get to do this thing, like, it doesn't live up to the hype. It doesn't live up to the hype for it. I mean, for the female audience that's watching this, maybe it does, but I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't feel like it's needed to be this 2 hour long special, and I don't know. To me, it felt pointless. But then again, it's not made for me. It's made for the women who clearly want to see these actors get naked and do this for charity. Which, again, if it's for charity, so I can't really get mad about that. But I can get mad on the same level I get mad about Dancing with the Stars. I hate it. Actually, no, Dancing with the Stars doesn't do things for charity. Dancing with the Stars just does it because it's Dancing with the Stars. But yeah, forget what I had to say about that last sentence. Bottom line, this thing sucked. Plain and simple. Speaking of things that sucked in general, number 3 on my list of the worst TV shows and events of 2024 happened recently. The College Football Playoff. Yeah, remember when everyone was overhyping this to a T that, this new college football playoff thing that we're working on here, it's going to change the way we look at the college football playoff picture. Finally, these teams that have never been given a chance to say, have always been asking, why not us? Why not us? Now they're going to get a chance to come in here and show what they can really do. Yeah, 2 weeks into it, if 2 of the 8 teams that actually have shown up and actually have put together, 2 of the 8 games that we've had actually have led to some entertaining games, that's 20% out of the games that we've played so far, and most of them have been absolute, complete, and utter failures. They have been against teams that don't even try to do anything. They're just overmatched by whatever team they play against. Like, it started bad right from the get-go when Notre Dame just ran all over Indiana, and then Penn State ran all over SMU, and then, Texas ran all over Clemson, and then Ohio State ran all over Tennessee. Like, none of those games were watchable because they were blowouts and lopsided games that just got bad so quickly. Not until we got to the quarterfinals, we actually had 2 games that had legitimately interesting games that actually were pretty fun to watch. And I'm not talking about Penn State. Hey, Boise State was the 3rd-ranked team in the country. Yeah, too bad that Penn State was able to stop Ashton Gianti from running all across the board. And so now when you take that away, Boise State's pretty much a lopsided, one-sided team. Oregon's the number 1 team in the country. Well, it's a good thing Ohio State saw that, because they completely mopped the floor with them. The only 2 games that we've had so far that were remotely interesting or engaging was Texas-Arizona State, which, to be honest, Texas really could have made that another lopsided game, but Arizona State didn't give up. They took it to 2 overtimes, and they almost had a chance to pull off an upset win there, but Texas picked off the quarterback in the second overtime, and that ended the game there. But it at least was something entertaining. I at least got something of value out of it. And then the game that just got postponed because of what happened in New Orleans, the Sugar Bowl, the Notre Dame Georgia game. It was a good game overall, and it showed that hey, Georgia liked to play it up for the entertainment value at the end of this in the SEC championship game. But yeah, when you don't have Carson Beck there at quarterback, your team really struggles because Notre Dame just mopped the floor with them in the second half. I mean, it didn't even start with the second half; it started at the end of the first half alone. Like when they in the final minute when they just took that lead and never relinquished it. Like those two, Texas, Arizona State, Georgia, Notre Dame were the two best games so far that we've had in this playoff. But now we're getting to the teams that should be in a playoff like this: Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, Penn State. That could at least amount to some very good games overall. So, bottom line, the first round and the quarterfinals were really lackluster for the college football playoff. Hey, we still got 3 more games here. Let's see if they can turn the tide around. But for now, the college football playoff is the number 3 worst thing I saw on television in 2024. And now we're getting to the real stinkers of 2024. These two are the worst of the worst. Number 2 on the list is Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender. And boy, I never thought I would see the day that someone would make an Avatar live-action project that's even worse than the M. Night Shyamalan movie. But boy, Netflix certainly made that possible because, good lord, what a mess this show was. I mean, yes, Avatar: The Last Airbender has the look of the original show, but the writing and the changes they make here are so atrocious. They're so badly put together here. The casting overall is okay, I guess, but for a show that's trying to make you forget about the terrible M. Night Shyamalan movie, you did stuff that made the M. Night Shyamalan movie look better by comparison, and that's not a good sign whatsoever. And man, this show just sucked. This was just such a boring, lackluster TV show that just had none of the value that made the original TV show, the original animated series, so special. All the show that really proves is that the animation is just far superior than live action, and the fact that this show made The Last Airbender look better by comparison. The fact that they fucked up The Last Airbender not once but twice in live action formats is just unbelievable and just such a disappointment on so many levels. Like, I expected so much better from this. This is one of the worst shows of the year. This would have been the worst show of the year had it not been for the number 1 worst show of the year. And I think you can get an idea of what that show is. And that is, without a doubt, Good Times. Oh, I'm sorry. Good Times, Black Again. Let that set the tone for how bad this show really is, because boy, is this show terrible. This is the bottom of the barrel for how to remake a TV show. Because let's remake this, for one thing, let's remake the show as an animated sitcom. Okay, it's an odd choice, but I'll go along with it. But no. We're not done yet. Because we got to take this, and we've got to turn this into is not just a bad television show that is a bad remake of a TV show. No, we've got to take this show and turn it into a bad Family Guy clone, but with a black family now instead of the white family. Which, I'm sorry to tell you this, but they already did that with Family Guy. That was the Cleveland show, and that was actually much funnier than anything and more enjoyable than anything that was coming out of this garbage. This is 100% garbage. This is a show that makes the Cleveland show look like a masterpiece compared to this. This is everything that you're not supposed to do with a revival show. This is the show that goes against everything that the original Good Times stood for. It has a lot of offensive humor that isn't funny. The voice acting is wasted with a lot of talent in this. That really there should be a lot better things to view with the people that you have involved in here. Jay Farrow, Marseille Martin, Yvette Nicole Brown, J.B. Smoove, Michael McDonald, wasted on this show. And, this show is just a complete and utter insult to everything that Good Times stood for. The Boondocks reboot had to die because of this. They focused on this instead of doing the revival of the Boondocks, which the revival of the Boondocks would have been so much better than anything that this garbage would have provided. This show sucks. This show is absolutely abysmal. It is everything that is wrong with remaking a TV show for a new generation. And if you want a perfect example of how to do this the correct way, not even a great way per se, but in a way that actually works better than anything that this show did, go watch what they did with Everybody Hates Chris, with Everybody Still Hates Chris. A concept that sounded like a bad idea on paper, but you know what? It at least was funny. It at least was trying. The first episode alone, I thought was really funny, and I thought it was really funny with the way that they decided to make this animated. Like it continues from where Everybody Hates Chris ended off with, where they discover that he failed his GED, and I think it's the dad that gets, I can't remember if it's the dad or the mother that gets so mad at him that they said, "I'm going to slap you into animation," and then boom, they're right into the animation. Like, this show was at least funny at times. It's much more clever when it needs to be, but it's much better than anything that was coming from Good Times. Good Times just feels like a show that was just insulting the original Good Times, and how is by comparison. I mean, that's a show that Good Times is a show that just feels so disgusting on so many levels. It feels like a show that was not even made by the same people who made the original by the original show, or even people who love the original Good Times show. Like, it's just baffling how bad this show is. And this was one of Norman Lear's last projects he did, and he didn't look at this and say, this really isn't going against everything that I was saying that this was going. This was really going against everything that I was saying with the original show and all that, but no, I don't think he said that at all. And it's just like Seth MacFarlane and Steph Curry are involved in this. Like, it just makes no sense whatsoever. It's just such a bad show. It's poorly animated. The comedy is not funny. The characters are just ugly to watch. The lessons they're trying to teach you aren't that strong. Like, this and they're just bad lessons all overall. I don't care what the showrunner says about the show being about family coming together, laughing together, dancing together, all that kind of stuff. It's just just get out of here with that. This show sucks. This is easily the worst thing I saw this entire year. This was a mess of a show. And I think everybody could agree. I think people who watch the show can agree with me. This was one of the worst things I've ever seen. This is one of the worst animated shows I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of bad animated shows, but this takes the cake for one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. Good Times, the worst television show of 2024, and it's not even close.